looking smarter than ever, Jason. You're looking smarter than ever, Jason.
What's up, guys? Welcome to week 2 of the podcast. We are talking week 1, the 5 winners, the 5 second placers. We're going to talk about week 2 matchups as well. How you feeling?
The season's bullshit.
We gotta watch your salt levels, man.
Yeah, okay.
So we're going to get into it with the Battle of Hagerstown, the lowest scoring matchup from week 1.
Yeah, can we just start off and talk about how Alex comes in year 1, gets lucky as shit with everybody, wins the title, comes into year 2 and just takes a big shit on the board and somehow still gets a win? Because of course McMillan can't put up 87 points.
Well, it's you play McMillan.
I know. God damn it.
Well, what were your takeaways from that game? I mean, in terms of the scoring, we got it up right now.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the concerns that I put out there on Alex's team from the start, you were so big on Cam Newton in the 8th, and I'm like,
5.4 points.
That was. I didn't expect that bad, but 5.4 points out of your quarterback, you're not going to get a lot of wins.
Right.
I literally said last week, I think I said, who is David Montgomery? He got none of the passing down work. Tariq Cohen got it all, and somehow I don't even know how many times did he carry the ball, 10 times, and it was a 1-possession game the entire time.
Let's see. He carried the ball
6 times. He
He
got 6 carries. So.
And he had 1 reception.
Yeah, Alex used a pretty early pick on that. I don't know, but Devontae Adams had to be a big disappointment.
Well, yes, but there are still
5.6.
There are still bright spots on both of their teams. Obviously, Derrick Henry putting up 28 is everything McMillan could have ever wanted out of Derrick Henry.
I think that worked out really, really well for him. James Conner in the first round was another one that's you expect more than 8.5.
Yeah, and I think he will get more than
Pittsburgh's offense was just absolute trash.
Yeah, terrible.
No, I could have
expected
expected them to lose that game by 2 touchdowns. Who would have thought 33-3?
Right.
Right.
Well, it was a wild week 1 in the NFL. There were a lot of games it was weird. It was just a weird week.
And I'm it bugs me how weird this opening week was. I don't know. I feel like I said this last year too. It's just nothing made sense.
I feel like they're more often than not there are these 30 or 40 point performances that are coming out of nowhere, it seems from certain players. Yeah, in this matchup you didn't see as many because Evan Engram is a surprise at 23.
So I like Evan Engram.
I do too,
but he I think last year he had some injury issues. But I liked him overall. I'm not expecting 23
If someone
points
told you that Dallas is going to win 35-10,
35-17, but yeah, no, Dallas is going to win by 3 touchdowns, but don't worry, Evan Ingram's going to get you 23. Fuck off. No, they're not. Eli Manning's actually going to do something this year? It doesn't make any sense. Dalvin Cook played great. I think he had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Don't
see the stats on him.
Just Alex's biggest issue is
2 touchdowns on 21 carries,
111 yards. That's what you want out of your RB1.
Oh yeah,
it was perfect for him. The problem is, we all know how much kickers and defenses can be a lot of luck, and between Alex's kicker and defense, he got a goose egg.
Well, we'll also talk about that with some other teams coming up. But the bottom line is, and I was telling you, I said Dalvin Cook. I said this I think on the week 1 podcast. I was big on him because I'm that's a guy who honestly could be a top shelf RB1. I actually think he is going to finish. I'm gonna maybe a little bit of a hot take here. I think he'll finish as a top 5 running back at season's end.
A top 5 running back?
Top 5 running back.
I think that's a little higher than what I would expect.
I'm saying it's a hot take, but I honestly believe Dalvin Cook at the end of the year, I think he has what it would take. He has the workload. He has the ability. He's going to get the touchdowns. I think he has all the right elements there, as long as he stays healthy, to be a top 5 running back. Derrick Henry could find himself in that conversation too at season's end. There's an argument for it with his week 1 performance. I know it's a blowout. They absolutely, no one thought the Tennessee Titans were going to put up 43 points against the Cleveland Browns and win by 30.
I wouldn't have thought they were going to win by 30 like that, but we literally made a bet on Cleveland not being as good as you think they're going to be. I also did say that I expect...
Yeah, you had the Steelers in that bet.
No, I did, but the Steelers lost to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this is the best defense the Patriots have had in like 10 years.
Yeah.
By the way, they got Josh Gordon. Did you see that touchdown by him?
No.
It was absurd.
How much bullshit is the Antonio Brown thing, by the way? and of course they're they're playing in week 2.
We're going to get to Zach's team in a little bit, but I honestly, my biggest thing that I'm like the most surprised about is how like so many big name people did so little.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
real,
up
like,
and down day.
Like James Conner, first round pick, 8.5 points. Devontae Adams, 5.5 points. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone knows the Bears defense is good, but what has everyone been hyping coming into the season? That the Packers offense is going to be humming, and what did he have? Like 3 catches? Like, it really wasn't much of anything out of Devontae Adams this week.
Yeah.
4 catches for 36 yards. Like, obviously no touchdowns. Like, not great. But yeah, no, of course, Battle of Hagerstown is as disappointing as it can possibly be, and of course someone had to win, and of course it had to be Alex.
Well, and one last thing before we move on, OBJ disappointing day at 10.6. You talked about James Conner already. Aaron Rodgers obviously 12.9. He was playing a great Bears defense. I mean, that Thursday night game.
But you expect more out of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
again, because that was another quarterback that went early. I think he was even before the 8th round.
And Zach Ertz, we talked about on the Week 1 podcast. We know that we both thought there was a regression there.
Oh, of course, but but here's the thing though: 8 points out of your tight end's not
bad.
It's not terrible. Like,
let me ask you this: who do you think out of these two teams? Because both of them are the lowest scoring teams, as you mentioned in Week 1. Alex, very fortunate to get a win. Who do you think has more to worry about moving forward?
I have to feel like it's McMillan, because if you look at Alex's bench, okay, Robert Woods got him 12.5. Allen Robinson got him almost 14. Latavius Murray got the vulture touchdown in there. Like you talked.
What did I tell you?
You did say it, but let's not pretend like Alvin Kamara didn't put up. What did he have? 25 points.
Yeah, I mean, he was a monster.
He still was a monster. But no, like.
Also,
Alex left Jarvis Landry on his bench, got 10 points. Devin Singletary got 12.
Devin Singletary's a smart pickup with that. I mean, he didn't have the biggest day, but with that kind of like Kenyon Drake-ish role to Frank Gore.
So the thing is, 12.3 points isn't like a huge day. But where did he get Devin Singletary? I got 12.3 points out of Zeke and Todd Gurley. Like, It just like, that's, I mean, we're not on my team yet, but like, that's kind of what I'm talking about. You had like a lot of people you didn't expect either have like a big day or a good day, and we had a lot of top tier players just kind of not show up in Week 1.
I don't know if I mentioned this in Week 1. Last thing I'll say, then we'll move on. Devin Singletary, there was an article that about Frank Gore on ESPN that came out like before the season started, and it was Frank Gore talking about Devin Singletary, and it's like, this kid has potential to be something special. And if a Hall of Famer, 4th in all-time rushing yards,
but that's just because he's a billion years old. Like, I'm not
he's
impressed.
had a long career.
He has, but I'm not impressed by total rushing yards when you just play for 10 or not 10, like 15 fucking years.
I mean,
he's like 36 years old and he's still in the NFL.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's
first of all,
to
be able to sustain. I mean, last year in Miami, he was solid. Anyway, that's not either here nor there for fantasy. Let's move on to another matchup. Go ahead, you pick one.
Let's flip the spectrum here and go to the
biggest scoring
biggest score one. So 2 teams that we expected to be terrible.
This was a surprise. I mean, we both had these guys, I think, bottom 3, didn't
we? I think that we did. Well, the problem that I have with this is there were too many anomalies here.
Yeah.
No one expects Sammy Watkins to drop a 40-burger in Week 1.
Yeah.
42. Like, what the fuck is happening?
That was also a huge factor, and he could actually sustain a high level of production because of Tyreek Hill.
Well, Tyreek Hill might be missing some time, but here I don't even have a problem. Like, Sammy Watkins, he could be a wide receiver too. He can get you 15, 20 points a game. Yeah. I think that's kind of the max end of his range. There's a reason that he hasn't done anything the last couple of years. 9 catches for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, the touchdowns really did it.
Like, I bet you right now that he doesn't get more than 20 points. Like, I would bet that he doesn't go above 20 3 more times this season.
I don't know if I take that.
Like, I don't think he goes above 23 more times. Like, 42 points. Like, no, he's going to end up as a wide receiver 2 this year off of this performance alone.
I don't know if I'm there with you on that, only because, again, I think that was a matter of opportunity. I mean, Tyreek Hill is the guy in Kansas City. He goes down with what seems like it might be a more serious injury than I'm sure Patrick Mahomes would like. But at the end of the day, Kansas City is going to throw the ball
Well, they're gonna throw the ball, but
a shitload per game, and someone's got to get the targets. It's all about. I mean, you hear on some of these podcasts in fantasy, they'll talk about, it's all about the offenses. It's not about the players. It's not about the it's all about the opportunities. I think Sammy Watkins is in literally the best opportunity he's ever had in his career.
I mean, but he was there last year.
He was, but he wasn't. I mean, last year, what did they have? Not only Tyreek Hill, but they also had what's his name? Kareem Hunt. They had other guys to feed in the system. Obviously, Travis Kelce is going to get some targets, but if you lose Tyreek Hill, arguably the most dynamic receiver in football right now, certainly in the conversation, who else are they going to throw the ball to?
I mean, I get it.
Patty Mahomes got to get his throws in.
No, I mean, Patty Mahomes is going to throw, but I just can't imagine.
I'm Patty Mahomes. I throw the ball real good.
The fuck is that?
The frog voice thing. Did you see
Okay.
the...
No,
Right.
no, I did not see that. Please don't do that again.
Jason Smith will laugh at that.
You win. I'm Patty Mahomes, and I shoot real good.
Speaking of Jason Smith, man, it is a rough fucking start to the year for him. You want to talk about the Andrew Luck thing, and again, great team name there. And T.Y. had a fantastic day for him, even despite Jacoby Brissett.
I kind of felt that T.Y. Hilton was going to... You expect a little bit of regression because Jacoby Brissett is not T.Y. Hilton. Jacoby Brissett is...
Andrew Luck.
Sorry, what did I say?
T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, sorry. Instead of Andrew Luck. Jacoby Brissett is serviceable.
Right.
He can play the position. He's, not bad. He's just not Andrew Luck. And here's the thing. What do mediocre quarterbacks do? They rely on their number one guy.
Right.
They will just target him over
Targets
and over
for
and
number one.
over and over again, which is how T.Y. Hilton ends up with almost 25 points in week 1. The 25 points out of him did not surprise me. I still think that's the top end of his range.
Yeah, I would agree.
But
I don't think he's
8
gonna
catches
have-
for 87 yards, it doesn't surprise me.
He could...
2 touchdowns, obviously, that's not going to be sustainable. He's probably more looking in the range of 15 to 20 points.
but
But 8 catches for 87 yards is nothing crazy.
Well, it would never surprise you, too, if T.Y. Hilton was 140 yards and a touchdown, any given Sunday. That never would surprise you because he's
It wouldn't
always...
surprise me.
He's always...
Two touchdowns obviously bumped him up quite a bit.
Right, but he's T.Y. Hilton, the one thing about him is he's always, there's always a possibility that he just gets an 80-yard touchdown that makes his day. There's always a possibility that he's the deep threat. I mean, there's always a possibility he goes deep on a post and just beats the hell out of a safety. But man, oh man, was this a high-scoring game. I mean, Zach, 179.
Again, 40 points out of one player is going to bump things.
Well, and
he got
34
34 out of his
between his defense
kick.
and kicker.
That was crazy. Marlon Mack, again, I sat there and said I thought that he was going to get... I didn't think his value was going to change at all.
What a trade.
Yeah.
Alex got to be kicking himself.
I mean, who did he give away? Kenny Galladay?
Kenny Galladay.
It was... Like I said, I thought that Marlon Mack kind of was going to keep his value because he's going to get more rushes.
Right.
No, Andrew Luck... Obviously more 8-man boxes again, but I think he scored 2 touchdowns. It was another one of those things.
But
Only
25 carries, 174 yards.
If he's going to be getting 25 to 30 catches a game, he's a running back too, a high-end running back too.
And while the game did go to overtime, the Chargers won it in overtime on their first possession. It wasn't like Marlon Mack got any overtime carries. I mean, this was a regulation game. To be fair, it was a back-and-forth game. It wasn't like the Colts... I think one of the ways his carries might drop is if the Colts are playing from behind. If they find themselves on the losing end of some of these games, they're going to throw the ball more and Mac's going to lose some of those touches. But they were competitive with San Diego, who is supposed to be a playoff team. And obviously, I mean, Deshaun Watson and Alvin Kamara are going to be huge for Zach moving forward. But he had an overall his worst performance is out of his flex spot, with Matt Breida, who I thought was going to have a much better day. That was a huge disappointment.
Again, I didn't expect much out of Matt Breida. That was what I was saying, is you never know who's going to be the guy in that backfield.
And then he falls into Antonio Brown. Because if you look at that entire roster, the only guy who gets replaced is Antonio Brown goes into Matt Breida's spot in the flex.
Yeah, that's
a disgusting lineup.
He is okay. I'm not going to go crazy about this here because
Antonio Brown.
No, hold on. Let me say why I'm not going to go crazy about his roster. Okay, Deshaun Watson, obviously
Stud.
He's a stud. Alvin Kamara,
Stud.
He but does have the potential to have touchdowns vultured. He still got one. He got 20 points. cool. No, like you expect him to be a stud. He used his second pick on him.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
He used the second overall pick. He used
Yeah.
his first round pick on him. Marlon Mack, I think he's more looking like the range of 10 to 15 points, serviceable RB2.
Yeah.
I don't expect 25 points a game. If you are, then
No.
Julian Edelman did exactly what I would have expected him to do, about 13 points.
Yeah, that's
Sammy
average.
Watkins is going to regress like shit. He's not getting 42 points a week. He's going to get more like 10 to 15. Like, so that drops you down by 30. You cut the defense and kicker stuff in half. I mean, you're talking about 60 points right there that you cut out.
Let me just here's my take. I actually almost regret making that bet with Zach because his team was in hell for a solid up until week 1. But now looking at his team, I think it's not unreasonable to think Deshaun Watson and Alvin Kamara, between the two of them, are going to put up somewhere around 40 to 45. I don't think that's unreasonable.
I mean, but I feel like you expect that out of most of your
right. But what I'm saying is,
running back,
if we're looking
top
at,
end
if
quarterback.
we're looking at scoring as if like
Combos.
you need to hit like a certain threshold, like 110, 120 to be a playoff team in this league.
I mean, well, what
theoretically.
is the current team like average? Like, dude,
Yeah, I mean, it's so ridiculous now. But I would think like 110, 120 every given week is going to get you in the playoffs. I would think. If Mack and Edelman each put up 10 apiece, Kamara and Watson put up 45 between them. We're talking at 65 now. Sammy Watkins putting up 10 a week, 75. Antonio Brown putting up 10 a week, 85. Defense and kicker putting up
Like,
5 apiece,
I'm
95. And then Kittle putting up somewhere between 5 to 10. You're looking at, like, he's in the 100-plus category.
I mean, I feel like we did the math last year. You need to be more than 100 points.
Maybe.
Like, this. Remember, once we added half PPR, everyone's scores jumped up. 100 points is not enough to get you in the playoffs anymore.
I'm just saying I feel a lot less comfortable with
Well, obviously,
the bet
I would.
made
I'm
now.
not. I don't know. I'm not like gonna sit here and flip the switch here and say, oh, yep, I think Zach's the best team in the league.
Not the best.
or best team in the league because he put up 179 points in week 1. People have anomaly weeks all the
Right,
time.
but
He just happened to have 5 players hit in 1 week. 30, 20, 25, 42, 18, 16. Like,
I
all of them overperformed what their season averages are going to be. I would bet you any amount of money that all of them see at least a 25% dip on what they scored in
again,
week 1.
I'm not saying they won't regress, but what I'm saying is
Obviously they will.
I think there is a much stronger argument now that Zach is a playoff team. I'm not saying he is
Well,
a playoff team, but obviously
Well, of course there's a much strong... Like, that's not a hot take.
I'm not saying it's a hot take. I'm saying I feel I would not, if all things being equal, after that performance, I would make the same bet that I made with him for $20.
Obviously, because...
But no,
Especially when points scored matter so
Well,
much.
the
Like,
Antonio
he
Brown-
has a 100-point jump on McMillan right now.
right.
He has almost 100 on Alex. Like, you got to remember, like, the 6th spot going to that wild card
Is
of
a
course
huge-
180 points. Like, most teams are going to be happy if they get that in 2 weeks.
What I'm saying is I'm not trying to say like I don't think I'm trying to say anything unreasonable. I'm just simply saying I think
No, but like you're just
Zach
saying, you're
was,
just
we,
saying like
we
a
both
very-
agree. We both agreed.
Yeah, you're sitting
that he
here
was a
saying-
bottom 3 team.
Yeah, I'm just saying you're making a very medium take and like making like it's a big point. I don't get it.
Is that a-
You're like, oh, I'm not happy. Yeah, we got it. Let's go.
All right, let's talk about your matchup then, Dick.
No, we still have to finish talking about. We haven't talked about Jason's team.
What is there to talk about? I mean, we talked about T.Y. Hilton. We talked about. I mean, obviously Christian McCaffrey had a banner day.
I mean,
You can never expect a
that's-
player to put up almost 40 points.
well, no, I mean you don't expect it, but Christian McCaffrey is one of those guys
But
we knew it was going to get
everything else, except for maybe Alshon Jeffrey, is about what you expected. I mean, the Ravens defense.
Alshon
getting
Jeffrey
third-
got a bit more than I was expecting.
But aside from that, everyone
But
else is
the
about
thing-
where I thought they
but
would be.
the thing that concerns me the most about his team right here is like you look at his bench. Tom Brady putting up 25.6. Well, I mean,
He should start Tom Brady next week.
who are they playing? The Dolphins? Yeah. Well, probably, especially if they have.
What do you mean
Antonio Brown.
probably? 59-10. That was fucking horrible. I was watching it with Daryl. It was a miserable time.
Yeah, I don't know. The rest of his bench though, just there's no one on his bench he can feel comfortable starting.
No.
Like as soon as bye weeks start rolling around, Jason's going to be in some trouble.
Yeah.
Again, he had like 3 players just hit.
But that helps with the wild card thing, man. Like you were talking about
Yeah, no, it
earlier,
definitely
especially
does,
taking
like-
an early season loss. Like but I don't know if he can sustain it going forward.
Yeah.
You want to do the last non-us matchup?
Yeah, let's do the last non-us.
Window.
Like-
Again, another bottom 3 team we thought that
Again,
outkicked his coverage.
This is another one of those things where we sit here and say like people, like he just had a couple of guys overperform.
But no, I
Josh Jacobs putting up 24.
Josh Jacobs did overperform, but other than that,
overperformed.
But other than that, his 3 20-point performances are all guys who you kind of expect that from. Patty Mahomes putting up 27 is not that surprising.
No.
Le'Veon putting up 20, not that surprising. Even his first
again,
game
that's
back.
probably about what I was like. That's the higher.
That's
end
the
of what I
higher
would've-
end of his
would've
spectrum.
Because
And Keenan Allen,
again, I thought that Le'Veon Bell. I mean, playing against Buffalo, especially in that low of a scoring game, I'm a little surprised he got as much as he did.
I mean, Keenan Allen putting up 22 is not that hot of a take. I don't think it's the higher end of his scoring.
It's the higher end of what he's going to do. Like I when I say overperform, I'm not talking about the crazy overperforms of the other teams that we were talking about, but like Le'Veon Bell's a little bit more than would have expected. Keenan Allen a little bit more than expected. Josh Jacobs well more than I expected.
Right.
Again, he got solid performances out of his defense and kicker. 20 points combined is still solid.
Keep in mind also, he had, speaking of guys who were overperforming, he had guys on his bench like Deshaun Jackson. Talk about overperforming. 31 points from Deshaun Jackson against his former team.
33 out of Lamar Jackson too.
But that was the Miami thing again. Miami.
But Lamar Jackson I know it's Miami, but 5 touchdown passes.
Again, every ESPN analyst is going to fantasy analyst is going to be talking about stream players against the Dolphins every single week, and it's like, yes, fucking do it. They're basically a college football team. They will be one of the worst teams in NFL history this year. I'm not even kidding. They will be going down as like whatever the Buccaneers that one year had a really fucking terrible year.
The 0-16 Lions.
And the 0-16 Lions, the 0-16 Brown, or when the Browns were like fucking terrible for 2 years.
I think they won like
Jackson.
1 game in like 30 games.
It's going to be that level of bad.
Yeah. Brad's team, it just seemed like very average across the board.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Goff
obviously
had a bad day.
Goff underperformed, which, you obviously don't expect that, like 9.4 points. And they got the win. That's the weird, like, honestly, like, that's probably, we'll get more into the running back side of that. 2 touchdowns getting vultured out of Todd Gurley. That didn't help me. But, I mean, 9.5 points. They put up 30, and they won. Like, I'm very surprised to see that.
Yeah.
David Johnson did what you would have expected him to do, what you want out of him.
Yep.
Again, James White's one of those players
and
that you expect to get you 10 to 15 because of the half-point PPR.
Really quick, just a side take on this that I loved about this matchup is you get literally Le'Veon Bell versus David Johnson, which is a window, an opportunity for window at the 5 spot. He had David Johnson available.
Yeah, he took Le'Veon Bell, and right now, so
but
they're very even.
They're very even. Slight edge to David Johnson, but I mean, it was interesting to see those two matching up in week 1.
One thing I will say I'm kind of concerned about with Brad's team, Damian Williams got more looks than LaShawn McCoy, but I feel like as time goes on that might become even more of a committee. But Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman literally split. It was like 11 carries and 10 carries. You thought, I thought that after the way the season ended that Phillip Lindsay won that job, and obviously they still want it to be a committee.
We're gonna get into this too on my matchup because Aaron Jones did the same thing, but Aaron Jones had the lion's share, but it was like a lot closer than I thought it would be. But that is a concerning thing. It's all about touches to an extent, right?
Yeah. No, if you're getting 25 touches a game, the fantasy points are going to be there.
Yeah.
If you're only looking at 10 to 12, it's
a lot harder.
And he still got 8.5 only on 10 touches.
But Damian Williams did have a solid day. It'll be interesting to see if McCoy ends up eating more into that timeshare, or if Damian Williams, he didn't disappoint. Kansas City won the game, having lost their number 1 wide receiver, so it remains to be seen. But he really doesn't have much left in the tank.
Yeah. Also, fuck Brad for taking David Njoku and then not even playing him.
Yeah.
And it didn't cost him the game, but it cost him points. I'm fuck. If I could have gotten David Njoku, I would have fucking won this matchup. This is bullshit. The entire league is doing everything they can to screw me here.
To be fair though, I don't necessarily hate Vance McDonald.
No, I know a lot of people have been high on him, but again, I'm also in a place where I don't think. It didn't help that my tight end didn't do anything, but I'm not rostering 2 tight ends going into a game week.
You want to talk about yours or mine?
Let's talk about your guys.
All right.
Your guys was lower scoring. Let's start with that one.
Oh, okay. Just twist that knife. So the funny part about this matchup, for those who weren't watching last night, was it all came down to the Denver Broncos defense against Oakland. And obviously Daryl and Nick, having the team, Daryl is a huge Broncos fan. And his defense it was amazing for me. Like he had it was actually I think 94 to 93.2, and then Brooklyn Nine-Nine theme on my ringtone. I'm gonna have to call her back. Sorry, babe, if you're watching this. So he was at 94 to 93.2, and then they gave up. Or no, was it 90? I don't remember, but he just they just kept losing points to Oakland, and it was literally his team costing him this week 1 matchup. I didn't deserve a win this week. I really did not.
I mean, 93.2 is
Dak
what is
Prescott.
that? Are you you were 7th in points scored?
Something like that. Dak Prescott carried my lifeless corpse of a team over the finish line.
I just I don't understand. 1 week, 1 season, Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson can't throw to save their lives, and then all of a sudden they combine for 10 touchdowns.
But here's the thing. Dak was also a beneficiary of a good matchup against a terrible New York Giants defense. It is and same with Lamar Jackson with Miami.
I will say, though, I'm a little glad that this happened because teams are going to have to respect him now a little bit more, and that means less 8-man boxes for Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott was definitely on a pitch count. They said he wasn't going to be, but he was essentially splitting time with... Not splitting time. I think it was maybe 75-25 with him and Tony Pollard, so it was a little frustrating that happened. Again, we're not on my team, we're on yours. No, Dak Prescott fucking knocked it out of the park for you. Along with the rest of the Cleveland team, Nick Chubb, I feel like you got to be a little disappointed. First-round pick, only getting 10 points.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. I think it's still early. I think Chubb also was it was a victim of circumstance in terms of they were down.
Oh, yeah, once they got down,
they were throwing the fucking ball.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, I feel like he can catch the ball, but he's not going to be that guy.
Here's the other thing too that was reassuring. Even then, even after they were down, they were still trying to give him carries, which I loved. I mean, they're still trying to feed that man the ball. The more concerning one for me is Aaron Jones. He had 17 carries, Nick Chubb. I'm fine with that. How many carries did Aaron Jones have?
Aaron Jones had 13.
With 1 reception.
13, 17, that's not that big of a split. No, but again, Aaron Jones is one that I'm a little surprised he didn't get a few more looks because it was a 1-possession game the entire time. Obviously, when you have Aaron Rodgers, you're going to want to throw the ball.
Also,
and you expect the Green Bay Packers to get up in games.
Also, Bears D. I mean,
Bears D.
Top 5 defense in the league. But, I mean, I literally got by on the skin of my teeth. Now, I will say this. I think I got enough production out of my bench that I'm pretty happy with where I'm sitting. I mean, Kenny Stills putting up 11 going to Houston week 1 after the trade. I'm happy with that. Michael Gallup, I think, has huge potential.
So
Tyler Boyd was okay.
Kenny Stills, I would still be a little concerned about just because there's a lot of mouths to feed there. Will Fuller actually only had 2 catches.
Right.
But again, he's such a big play threat. He had that one 50. It was an absurd 55-yard catch.
I'm starting Kenny Wills at bye weeks at best unless he blows up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sorry on bad weeks for Tyler Lockett. Michael Gallup, like I said, could have big upside that I really liked. When and again
I don't
New York Giants, but
New York Giants and Dak Prescott's not going to throw 4 touchdowns every single week.
What about Nick and Darrell?
It won't happen.
Let's talk about where they're at.
Again, it was just another really just average week out of everyone. Tevin Coleman, they started them. Tevin Coleman, I was a little surprised about knowing that.
Dude, so he got
between
injured.
him and Matt Breida, he did get injured.
He got injured midway through the game because Darryl and I were watching it. And they just stopped. They didn't bring Coleman back into the game, and Darryl was hurting. Devontae Freeman also was just fairly disappointing.
Fairly 2.6 points.
Very disappointing.
Extremely. I sat there and kind of hyped him up a little bit, Tevin Coleman's not there to steal any carries. Devontae Freeman, if he can stay healthy, because that was the whole thing I said last year, I got 15 minutes of play out of him for the entire season. He just can't stay healthy. I mean, maybe didn't watch the game, so maybe he stayed healthy, but obviously just didn't do shit.
Obviously, Jared Cook, Darryl, I'm sure, and Nick wanted more from there, but with Nick and Darryl, the most disappointing one is this man here.
Sony Michel.
1.4.
We literally just sat there and said, if you get the touches, the points are going to come. He got 15 touches.
15 carries and 1.4 points. He rushed for 14 yards. I'm pretty sure behind a decent offensive line, I could rush for 14 yards on 15 carries.
And they were up.
Do you think you could do that?
Game. Yes. I mean, how hard is it to fall forward?
Right?
No.
Gain a yard each time.
Michel couldn't do anything. And again, it was another one. I watched about 5 minutes of the game and then I passed the fuck out. They were up the whole game. They won by 30 points. I mean, not that 15 carries is a low amount, but I'm a little surprised he didn't hit 20, 25 carries when you're up by so much for so long of the game.
Here's the sick part. He gets 23 more yards, right? 23 yards. I mean, you're talking about, what,
Yeah.
30 or 37 yards in the game?
which is not good.
Darryl wins.
Yeah.
Nick wins.
Again, I mean, it wouldn't have helped entirely, but it's like, yeah, Denver Broncos getting -1. If they picked literally any other defense, they probably get a win there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
let's-
Larry Fitzgerald putting up 21, that's got to be encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a couple bright lights in the dark. Emmanuel Sanders
But
putting up 17 is not bad. Delaney Walker had 20.
Another one of those spots where people are rostering 2 tight ends. Pick one. Don't have 2, leaving one on the bench that's going to get you, who are just as likely, if not more likely. Remember how I said that Jared Cook is... Do you remember when I said that Jared Cook is not a good football player?
You did. Again, if he starts Delaney Walker instead of Jared Cook, he wins.
Like, again, you probably don't expect Delaney Walker to put up 20. Like, he's probably much more in that
Right.
normal average tight end that's going to get you somewhere like 7 to 12 points.
Right.
But 7 to 12 points gets him a win here.
Yeah.
I mean, Jared Cook is not good at football. He should... Like, I'm surprised he's still on an NFL roster. He is so bad at football. And he's just a big body, and it's just like, oh, well, I guess we can put him at tight end.
I am happy enough to take my week 1 win and run away.
Yeah.
So, getting into the final matchup of week 1, you want me to go?
I mean, you know how infuriating it is to have James texting me all day long?
Was he texting you?
Bitching about the matchup. And then it's like, cool, Ben Roethlisberger just needs to get me like 15 points, and I get the win. And like I said, I watched about 5 minutes of the game, and I was like, I'm too tired. We had Frisbee this weekend, I had sectionals. I was like, I'm just going to go to sleep. 9.7 points. No touchdowns. If he just had 2 touchdowns along with his shitty-ass day, and they lost by 3 touchdowns, this isn't a problem. But no, Ben Roethlisberger throws 47 passes. 275 yards is completely fine, but can't find the fucking end zone.
He did have 1 carry for 7 yards.
Woohoo. That 0.7 points saved me.
I mean, here's the thing, and
It's infuriating.
I get it. You had some pot. Let's look at the bright side. Austin Eckler, I think, did far beyond what anyone could have ever expected him to do. Filling in for Melvin Gordon.
I will say this: Austin Eckler is just Melvin Gordon, except without the name. Like, no, he's not as good. Of course, he's not as good as Melvin Gordon. But you got to remember, he was an RB2 last year while serving as his backup.
Yeah,
he was like, I'm pretty sure last year he was the league leader in like yards per carry after contact or something. Like, he is a fucking monster, pound for pound.
Yeah,
and now he's getting full.
It's one of those situations where it's like you know who he reminds me of, like not obviously different position, but you know what the situation reminds me of is like an Antonio Brown Juju kind of situation, right? Like, you have a guy who is like the stud, like the number 1, who all of a sudden he leaves.
Once you start getting those first team
give him that
looks,
opportunity,
that's when it happens.
and bam, he runs with
and
the
the
job.
big thing that Austin Eckler does, he catches the ball. 6 catches for, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is an overperformance out of his catching, but 6 catches for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns.
2 of them were touchdowns.
That was big. Like, I mean, I loved the.
But he's never gonna have it. Not never, but he's rarely going to have a 3 touchdown.
Oh,
day.
obviously, I wouldn't expect a 3 touchdown day, but I'm gonna go out right now and say, as long as Melvin Gordon is out, I'm expecting 20 points out of him. Like, I expect him to be an RB1. Having said that,
I don't know about 20, 15. I'd give you, but I get.
I'm
be optimistic.
No, exactly. Like, he's on my team. What I'm expecting of him is what I'm expecting of him. It's not like not like, hey, this is guaranteed that this is what he's going to get.
Right.
This is what I'm wanting out of him every single week. And similarly, that's what I'm expecting out of Ezekiel Elliott. 13 points. That touchdown saved the day for him because he really didn't have that great of a day. They said he wasn't on a pitch. I think we said that earlier. He wasn't on a pitch count. Definitely split time with Tony Pollard. Todd Gurley, 10.6, 2 vulture touchdowns. That hurt. I mean, my whole team, it was just kind of like super average, and then Austin Eckler exploded.
Yep.
Well, and Ben Roethlisberger was definitely underperforming. Eric Ebron couldn't fucking get the ball thrown to him at all. 1 catch.
Yeah, I was surprised by Ebron because I really thought Brissett would kind of look his way a little bit. And
usually mediocre. I mean, you would think
that's the safety valve.
average quarterbacks, what's their safety valve? It's the tight end.
Right.
No, he just fed the ball to T.Y. Hilton.
And again, one more little silver lining before we move on to James. You did have Mark Ingram again against the Dolphins, so it's great assault.
I'm in a weird spot though because I have 4 running backs that I feel like I have to start, and I can't do it. I'm gonna have to make a move. I'm going to have to make a move. Mark Ingram putting up 22, and interesting stat that I read. I think it said that there was 35 running backs this week who got at least 10 carries. Mark Ingram is the only one who got positive yardage on every single carry.
Wow.
Like he's
again,
a big guy. He falls forward.
First of all, if I recall in week 1, I was big on Ingram and you were not so much. I thought.
No, I was literally saying Mark Ingram is now the lead running back on a run-heavy team. I was big on Ingram.
Okay.
But I was looking at how it all worked out. Mark Ingram's also not going to get any looks in the passing
No,
game.
I think maybe you're right. I may have gotten confused.
Yeah, but 14 carries, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, you're probably not looking at 2 touchdowns every week, but I'm expecting 15 to 20 carries every week, and this was a low end, and he got 100 yards. Again, it's the Miami Dolphins effect.
I am big on Ingram. I am
I
not
love Mark
taking
Ingram.
anything away from Ingram's performance, and I think he actually, I think he's a solid start as an RB2 or a flex even, but it's Miami.
No, it's Miami.
59 points.
But also,
and let me be clear about something.
Go ahead.
Miami was like the Ravens were fucking with them. Like they had punt fakes. They did a punt fake and ran for like 55 yards. They had on a 4th and 3 when they're up by like 30 points already. They went for it on 4th and goal at the 3-yard line, and of course, touchdown for James's team, starting Mark Andrews. A ballsy play starting Mark Andrews.
Can we all just take a second? This is now the 3rd team that has 2 tight ends. Because he has Austin Hooper on his bench with 12.5 points. But he also dropped the Oakland tight end earlier this week. Also what pissed me off, because this was on Friday, I tried to pick up that tight end and couldn't do it. Because Fab doesn't allow for any free agency period. Yeah. This is a problem. This is a problem that no one fucking realized when we voted for this. Guess what? We can't change it. This is, I didn't want to jump into this.
You're right.
Let's finish up this and then we can get into this part.
All right.
But no, fuck James for starting Mark Andrews. The fuck is that? Because his team didn't even do that well. It's like big performances and nothing. Like 20 points out of Saquon. It's Saquon. Saquon's going to get it. Chris Carson, I feel like did a little... it's fine. He used like a 4th-round pick on me.
We talked about this
21
week 1.
points.
I'm
not super big on Chris Carson. I think that was the higher end of what he's going to do. Tyreek Hill getting hurt obviously kept it close. Mike Evans didn't like the pick. Obviously, 3.8 points, not what you were expecting out of Mike Evans.
No.
I didn't like that one. Again, it kind of, like I said, works
but
out for
like
me
I said,
this week.
I did like Carson. I thought that was a great pickup, and obviously he delivered. He went above his projection by about 7.
One thing I will say, Darius Geis, they think he hurt his knee again. Maybe the whole taking Adrian Peterson thing 2 picks later is going to work out for James. But
and Calvin Ridley didn't have a bad day either.
No, Calvin Ridley is one. So I had Calvin Ridley last year. He was just super, super touchdown dependent. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Julio also didn't have a great day either. And you think they're going to go Julio a little bit more.
Yeah, they lost. Minnesota's defense is
they
good.
They
really
couldn't
get anything going.
Same as like Aaron Rodgers in Chicago.
Yeah. So I'm very, very frustrated because there was a lot of things I guess I could have tweaked a little bit. Ben Roethlisberger putting up 9.7 is
You know what you can do?
That was
You
infuriating.
can trade away one of those 4 running backs.
I'm probably gonna start making a look. Part of the thing. I might also just take a look on what's in the waiver wire for tight ends. We'll see.
Just don't wait till the last minute this time.
But part of the problem is there's 3 tight ends that I would trade away Mark Ingram for, and no one's gonna trade away those 3 tight ends for Mark Ingram. So we're kind of I'm in a weird spot with that. I will say, just to toot my own horn a little bit, that Keyshawn Johnson pick, not looking that terrible. He got 5 catches, 46 yards. Not an amazing day, but he's clearly going to be involved in that passing game.
Christian Kirk also had, go to my team for a second. Christian Kirk also had some production.
Did he?
Yeah, here, go scroll up a second. Yeah, 8.4 out of Christian Kirk, and I got him in the 10th or something like that.
Yeah, no, you got him in the 10th, but a person who thought that I was jokingly adding and
put up 7 points.
No, I said, I think by the end of this season he is going to be the number 1 wide receiver on that team because right now it's
Larry Fitz has a lot to say about that.
Larry Fitzgerald is fucking old as hell. Okay.
Yeah, but he's still putting up decent numbers.
Yeah. I'm frustrated. I think I was either 4th or 5th. I guess it's kind of a flip when you finish 4th or 5th whether or not you're going to get a win. But it's infuriating to see you getting a win with 93, fucking 87 points for Alex getting a win, and I over here and just every single year can't get a fucking win. As I'm of course I play against one of the top 3 fucking scorers.
As
week
the
1.
ancient Greeks used to say,
They didn't say this.
sucks to fucking suck.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Before we
Before
get into next week's matchups, though,
you want to talk about Fab?
what the fuck is going on with Fab?
so I posted about this on the Facebook page earlier today. With regard to Fab, from the way it says on ESPN settings, and I kind of shared a link in the description on that post, it only allows us to change free agent acquisition systems up until the time of the draft. Once the draft occurs, not even the league manager can change the free agent acquisition system. And because of that, the only thing I can control is what days waivers will process, as well as what time waivers will process. Now, theoretically speaking, and if we want to discuss this in the Facebook group, we can. There are a couple solutions in mind if free agent acquisition, in terms of like not waiver, but like actual free agent acquisition, is something that the league wants as a whole. Obviously, you and I have league manager powers. We can go in and literally, if people text me or one of us, we can add it. But that sets a dangerous precedent.
Okay. If we were going to sit here and talk about how it's too big of a commitment to add decimal scoring to kickers,
Right.
it adds even more. By the way, guess what? They added decimal scoring to kickers this year.
Not on ESPN, did they?
Unless I just like
Yeah, they did. Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
So then, problem solved. Sweet, way to go, ESPN.
Right, that was a thing, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
right here. Greg Zerline, 14.3 points.
Problem fucking solved.
Wait, unless he got like a rush or something, right?
No, I think you're right. Yeah. Problem solved. Thanks, ESPN.
Is that like legit what happened? Did anyone else get like decimals out of their kickers?
Oh, wait.
Or is it just mine because he got like rushing yards or something?
No, Will Lutz had decimals.
14.5. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe,
Anyway, this is kind of beside the point.
Yeah, 11.5. Yeah,
Point being. No, you know what the decimal scoring is for kickers? Sorry, I just realized. You know what that is?
Oh, it's that half point for missing.
It's the reduction.
Why do I have 14.3?
I have no fucking clue. Maybe they rounded up, because
because everyone else has been 0.5.
Well, I think there's a 0.75. I think for a missed kick of like a certain distance, it's 0.75. They probably rounded up on a half point. Anyway, but again, the other solution is we could allow waivers to process on like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at noon, and it gives people a little more time to able to let the waiver process, then add them to their
I saw Jason put something in there like Sundays would have to be earlier because of all the games that go on in London.
That's true too.
But
it is a punch to the dick.
Like, who suggested Fab?
I don't remember.
Pretty sure it was Jason. Hey, Jason, have you ever done Fab? Because I feel like your big thing was like you do this in another league and it worked really well, and let's be real, like this is a huge hiccup that no one thought was there.
Right.
The fact that there's no free agency period.
Well,
and also I want to touch on like something Zach said was like, oh, it's all about not just having the first notification and like there should never be a free agency period. Like, no, there 100% should be a free agency period. There's a point in time when players lock. You can't get them until this point in time.
Right.
Everyone has their opportunity now to get this player. Once everyone says, okay, we didn't want any of these other players, now you can go in and pick up whoever you want.
Right. I think the point was like obviously to prevent the situation where someone's waking up at 4 a.m. to see all the people who weren't on waivers and then to snipe those players. But obviously, if waivers are processing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I assumed with the free agent continuous bidding thing that on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday it would be waivers, and then after that it would go back to free agency.
In general, I feel like that's.
And maybe I fucked up in settings.
Given our circumstances, that might be the best option that we can go with, and like probably the only option we can go with to kind of supplement a free agency period. But
how do we do that?
You literally just said that by setting those times.
Right, but I'm saying like so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is sorry.
I'm saying like that probably will be our best choice to supplement the free agency process. But there are times when this player is a game time decision.
What I'm saying,
and I want to pick up the backup 10 minutes before game starts.
I may have fucked it up in settings. Like I said, I'll look next year to see if there's a different setting there other than free agent continuous or whatever. But that was what I understood it to mean is like free agent continuous. Like okay, like if waivers process Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, then it goes to free agency where like you can pick anybody up until they play. Obviously,
yeah.
But either way, let's get into our predictions for week 2.
Yeah. But the one last thing I'll say on that is like, but even a situation that we just ran into, like, I'm never holding 2 kickers. If my kicker all of a sudden says, "Oh, by the way," because that happened last year. Greg Zuerlein in warmups hurt his leg.
Right.
He pulled his hamstring in warmups.
Right.
What I can't pick up and that happens at 12 o'clock and the game's at 1. I can't pick up a new kicker.
Well, and again, we can.
That's crazy.
I made an exception for Jason Smith.
I know you did. And I feel like those circumstances are rare. But it happened to me last year. It happened to Jason in week 1 this year. It happens.
If it happens,
there has to be something else we can do.
If it happens, what we can do is for kickers and defenses, or like a last minute injury where literally you had no ability to pick someone up. We can have a system where if you let me know that you want to add this certain player who is on waivers and is a free agent, I can always league manager power just add them to your team. I mean, theoretically speaking, it's an exception fix. And again, we're not doing this for oh, I want to switch this player and I forgot to do it. No, if it's an injury in pregame warm-ups or something like that, then maybe there's an argument. But if you just honestly someone's questionable and then they're out and you're I want to add them, where do we draw the line?
Well, that's the problem. And here's the thing. No,
because then it gives people a pass to be oh, well, I didn't know.
But that's just it though. If it's 12:59 and I send you a message saying I want this player because I want to play them at 1 o'clock. Because that's the thing. I had people at the last minute all the fucking time. I mean, it's not like it's happening every single week, but on more than one occasion last year, I added someone after 12 o'clock for a situation that I was going to play them in a game.
Right.
It happens. And if you're playing fantasy football well, you should be sitting there watching pre-game stuff, seeing what's going on with all the players, and deciding at the last minute if you need to start someone. Right. Especially because of my tight end situation. Hell yeah, I might be looking at 12:30 at what tight ends are available.
I'm with you that it's a frustrating kind of situation that we didn't expect that now we're forced to deal with. But I will also say that
everyone wanted Fab though. Right?
we can adjust. Again, the best fix like we've been talking about is to make waivers clear Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So
is it possible to do 2 in one day?
I don't think so. So, but again, I can adjust the time that it processes. So if you want a specific time, like I said, 8 a.m. or something like that.
No, I understand. But again, okay, if there's a London game, okay, and you do it at 8 a.m., so it's processed before the 9 a.m. game starts, cool. But now that still doesn't help me at 11:30.
And that's the thing, you have to take one or the other. You can either get the, I'm gonna take the benefit of doing it at 8 a.m. so we get it before the London game if something happens, but then I'm stuck for the 12 o'clock game, or we can do it at 12 o'clock, and it's all right, well, fuck the London game, but I can at least be closer to 12 o'clock. And I can even do, I think it allows 15, 30 minutes intervals. So I can even do 12:45.
Yeah, no, I feel like 12:45 might be a little bit better.
But again, it's but then you keep in mind that's for the waivers to process. You still have to put that person in your lineup.
Exactly.
So it's just that's why I didn't want to flirt too close with that 1 o'clock deadline. Anyway,
it's frustrating.
We've dissected this issue for you guys to think about. Let us know in the Facebook group how you feel about it, and we'll figure out the best solution moving forward for the league. For this season. Obviously, next season we'll kind of toy around with it a little bit more and see if there's a better system that works for us. Anyway.
I'm just going to propose going back to waiver claims. But...
Okay. Really quick, so we've got the matchup predictions for week 2. And interestingly, we have a little, look at this right here. It's a win probability estimator, according to ESPN. So, first one we'll do, Daryl and Nick, 0-1.
I'm pretty sure this is also basing it off their current starting lineups, though.
Oh, yeah, I think it is. Which
by the way... which could change.
Well, right now, Daryl and Nick don't have anyone in the flex.
Doesn't have anyone in the flex.
But anyway, Nick and Daryl, the comeback kings, playing against Jason Smith. Both teams 0-1, needing a win to, stop a dismal start to the season. Who you got?
As much as I think that Jason's team overperformed this week, I think I am going to go with Jason's team. Not having Melvin Gordon is going to hurt, and you kind of talked about how losing kind of changes people's opinion. Who do they play this week? They play Detroit, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure either next week or week 4 they play Miami. So they're gonna be 3-1. At the bare minimum, the Chargers are probably gonna be 3-1.
This whole season is just gonna be people beating up on the Dolphins.
I'm not trying to beat up on the Dolphins. I'm just stating a fact that more than likely the Chargers are gonna be 3-1 or 4-0 after 4 weeks. Melvin Gordon is not playing for the Chargers this year.
This episode of the VPN or the VPN
Is this FIFA?
Yeah.
This
episode of the Jason.
Are we playing FIFA tonight?
You want to?
I don't know.
This
Let's see if
episode-
anyone. We'll have to see if Jason and Zach and McMillan and Birchak watch this tonight to see if we can all play FIFA together because we're not messaging anybody.
Well, also, it's gonna take me some time to edit and post it. I'm gonna try to get it out by tonight.
You put this out in like 10 minutes after last one.
Yeah, but I'm gonna do just a little more editing this time and actually like throw in some inserts and crap if I can. Anyway,
Okay. Sure.
Be that as it may, this episode of the JC Penni podcast is brought to you by the Miami Dolphins Time Machine Incorporated. When you want to flip forward to 2020, choose Miami Dolphins Time Machines.
Kip, I reckon you know a lot about cyberspace. You ever come across anything like time travel?
Easy. I've already looked into it for myself.
Right on.
Bro, you really think it's only going to be 2020? They're doing this through 2021 so they can get Trevor Lawrence.
No, they have an arsenal of draft picks, and they have $100 million of cap space they're going to be able to use in 2020. They'll at least have a decently competitive team in 2020.
Yeah.
They're not gonna make the playoffs, but they'll be like 8-8 again, which I would love to have an 8-8 season this year. It would make
All
my
right.
fucking
So
day.
getting back to the matchup here. Not having Melvin Gordon I feel like hurts a lot. I mean, not that I was big on Tevin Coleman anyways, but Tevin Coleman is now out. DeAndre Hopkins is a fucking stud, especially with Deshaun Watson. But, like, I just don't know who he feels super comfortable throwing into his flex right now, which is why his flex is their flex, is sitting open right now. Sonny Michel underperformed, Devontae Freeman underperformed. I mean, his wide receivers are amazing.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
like, who is he starting at running back right now?
He's in running back hell. And the thing is, he's got to start. I mean, he has to start at running back unless he gets someone on waivers.
I mean, I just don't know who he's plugging in there. I feel like it has to be Freeman and
Michelle,
so.
and then it's going to be Hopkins, Thomas, and probably either Sanders or Fitzgerald. I don't think it's as terrible as you're saying, but I also think
I'm just saying I think that I'm liking Jason's team more this week.
I
Jason is
get
doing probably the smart move. He's going to start Tom Brady against the Dolphins.
Fuck off.
Not too much of a surprise there. But no, Christian McCaffrey's still going to be a stud. Playing against Tampa Bay, not great. T.Y. Hilton, we'll see how Tennessee's defense does against Indianapolis rather than the Browns, because I mean, everyone hyped up the Browns' offense. They have so many weapons, and
It was disappointing. I will say, I agree with your prediction.
yeah,
I think it's going to be closer than...
Again, I don't like Jason's bench, but just like looking at what he has as starters right now, I just feel like
I think it's going to be close.
it'll be close.
I think it's going to be close. I do give the slight nod to Jason Smith because I do think the Melvin Gordon thing is really going to hurt them as the season lingers on. I have him in another league, and I don't know if
it's rough.
I don't know if he is signing, and if he is, I don't think it's going to be till like week 9.
I don't think
week
he will.
10.
If he plays this season, it will not be for the Chargers.
No, he might play for the Chargers.
I don't think so.
Really?
Based on like they are literally like, dude, find another team. Like we're not paying you. Why would we pay you anything when?
But if he comes back to like to get his money this season, I mean, he has to come back by week 10 to get his salary, I believe. And if
he's not getting paid for every week he's not there though.
right, but he at least
But I'm saying
gets
though,
something.
like, but no, like he wants 10 million. I think they offered him 10 million a year and he turned it down.
Yeah.
And you know how much they're paying Austin Eckler to give them 37 fantasy points? They're paying him like $640,000.
Yeah, he's on a terrible
It's
deal. Like, is it a rookie
ridiculous.
contract?
It's a rookie contract, and he's a backup. He was like a late. I mean, he's not Melvin Gordon.
He's gonna get paid.
He's going to get paid when this contract is up. It might not be for the Chargers, but when we talk about him getting paid, you're talking $5-6 million a year. He's going to be ecstatic.
How much of a fuck you would that be for San Diego to give like a bigger
Austin
contract offer to
Austin Eckler's
Eckler?
not getting $10 million a year. I promise you that. It won't happen. But yeah,
I think he's put up
I think
30
we're both
points a game,
we're
maybe.
both pretty high on this. I mean, the overall projection, ESPN projections has
61 with Daryl and Nick having
Well,
no
I was
flex.
talking about the projection of 119.4 versus 95.6, but again, he does not have anyone in the flex right now, so that could
PS projections. Are
yeah. But again, we're talking about like 10-15 points added, like
Yeah.
still there. Moving over to McMillan and James, much closer matchup, I think.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you have James, narrowly beating you, McMillan narrowly losing to Alex. It is, This actually, I think, will be a really good game because I love looking at good running back matchups, and you have James Conner and Derrick Henry versus Saquon Barkley and Chris Carson. Every single guy has upside.
One thing I will say here is James is going to have to figure something out because Tyreek Hill will not play this week.
Ugh.
I'm still not big on Mike Evans.
He's probably going to... I would think he's going to start...
I think he's going to start Calvin Ridley because what else does he really... Like, I don't like
There's
either...
everything else
Like, look at their benches.
Yeah.
There's, like, no one on their benches that you want to play.
Look, N'Keal Harry is on the IR already.
Yeah.
And Kareem Hunt's still suspended.
Yeah.
But, I mean, no, seriously, neither of them have anything left in the tank.
No one's on the bench that you're really comfortable putting in there. I mean, Mike Williams, I think, had a pretty good day last week.
10...
No,
3.
3.9. Never mind. Mike Williams sucks, and he's starting. He didn't have the day that.
Didn't Jordan Howard have a decent day?
Jordan Howard?
Yeah.
I don't believe so, but I could be 6.5. Like,
and again, he does have LaShawn McCoy too, who you were mentioning earlier might step into a bigger role.
He could start seeing some more things. He got 10 carries and 81 yards.
9.8 points.
Like 9.8 points out of what? I mean, he signed on Tuesday,
yeah.
The Tuesday before he signed and got 11 touches. Like,
yeah,
it's Andy Reid's offense. It's the Chiefs. Anyone in that offense is going to look good. Like, if he gets 15 to 20 touches, he could be a starting running back.
Yeah, I'm giving the slight edge here. I am going to give it to McMillan.
I think so too.
And it's honestly because of the Tyreek Hill injury.
Tyreek Hill doesn't help.
And the tight end position. I don't think Mark Andrews
is not going to replicate 20 points.
Yeah, anywhere close to it.
And Zach Ertz, I think, underperformed. I think he had like 7 or 8 points. Like,
yeah.
I feel like he's much more likely to get you in that range of 10 to 15 because he's one of those top 3 tight ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I had to pick one right now, I feel like surprisingly, because I think McMillan had the lowest points total for the whole league in week 1, but I think I'm going to go with McMillan. Why are we agreeing on everything now? Stop it.
Okay.
Let's find this. Yeah, Brad and Alex.
This could be a close game.
I expect it to be close. I mean, you have to expect Devontae Adams to do more. They're playing. Oh fuck! They're playing against Minnesota. That's 2 like really tough matchups to start this year.
Yeah.
What did Kenny Galladay actually do? I mean, we know that Marlon Mack fucking dropped 25. 12 points. That's not terrible. I mean, he needed he felt like he had some running back depth. I don't know why he thought that.
Wasn't Duke Johnson disappointing, or did he have?
I don't think he really 11 points. Again, Alex traded.
But he's all that's left.
Yeah, Alex traded away Marlon Mack, thinking that he had a ton of running back depth, and maybe David
Montgomery will rebound a little bit. I don't think he's going to get 5 the rest of the year.
No, I don't think he's going to necessarily get 5, but he had 6 carries in a close game. It wasn't like they were down the whole game.
Yeah.
It was a close game, and he got 6 carries. Tariq Cohen is still there. Tariq Cohen is the passing down back. This is a half-point PPR league.
I honestly think this matchup really does come down to the number 1 running backs and number 1 wide receivers, right? Because you have, like, Vance McDonald and Evan Ingram's kind of a push. The Kenny Galladay and Amari Cooper could go either way. Amari Cooper has huge upside, but also, like, you know, and he's been consistent, actually. But I do think it comes down to Dalvin Cook versus David Johnson, Devontae Adams versus Juju. I really do think those are the matchups that will dictate. I will say, if you're looking at overall holistic lineups, I mean, I think Brad has the better lineup overall.
Alex? Oh, Brad. Okay.
I think Brad has a better lineup overall.
I think so too. I mean, we both had Brad in our top 3.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I think
although Lindsey,
I think Brad. I do think Brad's going to get the win this week. I don't expect Jared Goff to have as bad of a week as he had last week.
Yeah. Given
the circumstances, Amari Cooper, I think. Again, I don't see Dak Prescott throwing 4 touchdowns every single week,
look at who.
But those aren't terrible. Like, I mean, 19.6 points is for real.
Look at Alex's bench, though.
What about Alex's bench?
I mean, both of their benches, I think, performed fairly well, if I remember correctly. But Jarvis Landry, not in the starting lineup, and he didn't have a good day. But I mean, we both loved that pick. Devin Singletary, could develop more into the role. Latavius Murray.
We're not really sure exactly. Maybe they haven't really set their lineups yet. It is only Tuesday. They might not have set the next week's stuff yet. But if I'm looking at the total roster, I think I'm going to give the nod to Brad this week.
I would agree.
Which I think I think
that'll be actually the closest matchup this week. I really do.
And I think that means that's 3 straight ones of teams that lost that we both think are going to get the win.
Yeah.
So we could have a whole lot of 1-1 teams this week.
We also do we pick James or do we pick McMillan. Did we both pick McMillan?
We both picked McMillan.
Yeah. We picked 2 teams that won in week 1 to lose in week 2. We're thinking there's
Are we playing each other this week?
No.
Oh.
I play Window and you play Zach.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But we're Thanosing right now. We're equalizing. We're balancing.
Oh, because we already discussed that one. Okay. Yeah, so that'll be 3 1-1s. All right, let's move on to my matchup with Zach. Zach is not going to put up 180 points again.
No, he's not.
He is not. And Sammy Watkins is going to regress.
Look at that projection.
I would bet...
He's projected to win by 1, which would be amazing.
I also haven't set my lineup for this week. He definitely has. He's moved Antonio Brown into his starting lineup. I will say this. I don't expect Antonio Brown to be fully integrated into that offense because he signed on Sunday morning. Like literally hours before the game.
Who are they playing?
They are playing the Miami Dolphins, but...
Playing a Pop Warner defense, man.
They are. I don't think Antonio Brown gets serious playing time 1 week after joining the team. You have to remember that this isn't some other team where they just need the talent. This is New England. It's all about the system.
Who signed early on in New England? Josh Gordon. He didn't. I mean, not early on. I mean, like he signed relatively midway through preseason, right? Didn't he? Wasn't that when he was allowed to come back from the commissioner's exempt list?
But he was with the team last year.
True.
No, like he'd been in that system. He'd been in that offense.
He hadn't been there. He hadn't been there after he got kicked out for, getting high.
Okay.
And
but he had been learning the playbook. He'd been on the team before.
Like,
you have to remember when he originally joined
the
team.
How hard is it to learn an NFL playbook as a wide receiver?
Very, especially on that team.
Maybe on that team.
I don't think you understand actually like how difficult it is to learn a playbook in general because you not only have to as a wide receiver you not have to know your route, you have to know everyone else's route. Because especially at the line, all of the audibles, especially a quarterback like Tom Brady makes.
Yeah.
Like you constantly have I don't think again he can prove me wrong. Go out and prove me wrong. Fucking beat me. It seems like that's just what happens every single week. Is somebody who shouldn't put up a bunch of points does. But Antonio Brown stepping in 1 week before game time. What time is their game? It's a 1:00 game on Sunday. He joined the team on Sunday. Didn't even officially sign, I think, until last night or this morning. They haven't had a practice yet. He might be studying like crazy to learn the playbook, but can we also just talk about the conspiracy theory around Antonio Brown just acting crazy for the last 3 months to get out of Oakland?
I don't buy it.
He burns his feet in cryogenic therapy, whatever the hell.
I don't think he's that smart.
He tries to smuggle a fake helmet that's been spray painted black onto the practice field, files multiple grievances, tries to fight his boss, does the whole recording his boss phone call thing. Maybe this was just a giant conspiracy to get out of Oakland because he knew that the Patriots were like, don't worry, man, we'll get you some of that money back. Get out of Oakland, come on over. And how quick was it? It was hours later that, oh, by the way, he's signing with the Patriots.
Antonio Brown is not that smart.
You know who is that smart? Bill Belichick.
He is, but not AB. And so what I'm saying
literally, all he has to do is say, hey, just act fucking crazy for a couple of weeks. We got you.
No. The idea that it's a conspiracy, here's the thing. I love it. I think it's hilarious. It's not a conspiracy because, truthfully, AB was doing the same kind of team destructive shit in Pittsburgh.
You don't know that.
He is just becoming more and more mentally unstable the way Kanye West is becoming more and more mentally unstable due to fame. And I'm telling you right now, what happened... Because here's the other variable you didn't account for. What if the Raiders say, fuck it, we need help, let him be fucking nuts and let him play with a team? John Gruden could easily have been like, yeah, go ahead, punt the football, go nuts, just be ready to play on Sunday. Here's a guy, 6'4", 200 pounds.
I mean, that's literally what John Gruden was doing, though. It was...
To an extent.
No, it was literally Saturday night. No, don't worry. He's going to play on Monday. And then Sunday morning, he's like, wait, no, they took my guarantees. I'm not playing. He's cut. He's signed. It was all in the span of 12 hours that John Gruden's no, he'll definitely play with us on Monday to he's on the Patriots.
Well, part of it also was the fact that they cut the guaranteed money, but it was because of the recording or whatever that there's debate on whether or not it was authorized. We've gone way into the weeds with this, but either way.
Anyways, I think it's going to be a close matchup.
You going to predict yourself?
He's not going to put up 180 points again.
Last week we didn't even predict our own matchups. You want me to just do it?
I definitely did predict my own matchup. You said we're not going to do that, and then I said no. I'm projecting that I'm going to beat James. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and think that I'm going to lose.
Calling your shot again?
I need more out of my tight end, especially when he has George Kittle. But I still feel like I like my overall matchups. I feel like Deshaun Watson playing against Jacksonville, much better defense that he has to play against. Ben Roethlisberger,
but Jacksonville also is not there. The Deshaun Watson's going to be on the field a lot. Who's there? Who's the quarterback?
He's also going to be on his back a lot.
Who's the quarterback right now?
I don't fucking know. I don't remember the backup's name. They signed some other guy. They made a trade for some other random guy. I don't even fucking know.
But either way,
I will say that fucking hurts D.D. Westbrook.
Huge.
I mean that's really, really frustrating.
Yep.
But I mean, Ben Roethlisberger has to do better than he did last week. Seattle's defense is not this. Like I said, the Seattle defense is not the Legion of Boom anymore. New England has the best defense that they've had in a decade. Also, it's New England just owns the Steelers. The Patriots own them every single year. They have their number. I like Zeke against Washington. I like Todd Gurley against New Orleans. I mean, Adam Thielen had a good week last week, nothing special. Brandon Cooks really didn't do shit for me. I expect him to do a little bit more. I don't know. Austin Eckler, I like his matchup. Like I said, I feel like I'm going to have to really try to make a move in the next couple of days to, one of my 4 running backs, because I feel like how do I not start all 4 of them? I feel like they have to all be in the lineup.
Ingram also is a limited survey size. Yes, they were getting in the ball, but it's a limited survey sample against
have many carries.
A Pop Warner defense. Doesn't matter.
I keep saying a Pop Warner defense as if they're not a run-heavy team.
They are a run-heavy team. They also are playing against a terrible run defense. I mean, the Miami couldn't defend. They made Lamar Jackson look like
passing game.
Steve Young, Dan Marino, Drew Brees in their prime. It was connecting deep balls every time. Here's my thing. I appreciate that you like your team. And I do think you have a legitimate...
I think my team underperformed this week, and I put up 110 points.
I do think you have a legitimate chance to win this week.
Yeah.
I am going to, against better judgment, give the nod to Zach.
Go right ahead.
And the only reason why is because I genuinely think his roster is starting to look better than I thought it would. I was eating a little bit of crow earlier.
I still don't think Antonio Brown's going to get that much work.
Be that as it may, I don't know that he might not even... I know he's starting Antonio Brown right now.
Marlon Mack playing against a much better defense this week in Tennessee.
I'm with you, and Tennessee looked good. But Sammy Watkins with Tyreek Hill out is going to... He could get 20 easily. Alvin Kamara could get 20 easily.
Okay.
Watson...
Obviously they could.
Deshaun Watson should get 20, 25.
I don't know about 20-25 against Jacksonville's defense.
One rushing touchdown and an average day as a quarterback will get him there. And I don't think that's
that's
a Herculean ask for Deshaun Watson, one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the NFL.
He's also going to be on his back a lot. He average gets sacked 4 times a game. He's eventually going to break.
Laramie Tunsil. I think...
and he was on his back 4 times.
He was, but less than he was last year. I think... Generally speaking, I do think Ezekiel Elliott and Todd Gurley have huge potential, as does Adam Thielen and even Austin Eckler. You saw what he could do last week, but I'm giving
Arizona's defense isn't anything amazing.
Edge.
That's
to
fine.
Zach.
I understand. Like I said, I'm
my prediction.
I'm expecting something. I'm expecting some moving pieces in this coming week.
Give me back on my prediction.
We'll say that. Let's see, where are you at?
I'm
playing
against
Window.
2 1-0. Is this the only matchup that features 2 1-0 teams?
I believe so, because every other one we were talking about everyone being 1-1. So yeah. Let's see.
I will say this. I am actually going to give the nod to Window, and I think my team is going to come down to earth. I didn't do well in week 1, and I don't think it's going to get better. Dak Prescott saved me. Chubb was somewhat disappointing. I think he'll have a little bit of a better day. Aaron Jones, I am legitimately concerned I wasted a huge pick.
You got to remember that it was the Bears defense. Playing Minnesota this week doesn't help. I'm just now seeing the little questionable tag on Julio Jones'
I
name.
didn't even know he was injured.
I didn't know anything about that until literally right this second. So, let's see.
Left
a
wrist
injury
wrapped.
of unknown severity during Sunday's loss. But I can't imagine it's.
He's
that-
always questionable. Always. And it's just
I mean, based on
Calvin
based on
Ridley
this
did as
little,
well as him.
based on this little tiny blurb, it leads me to believe that there doesn't yet appear to be any reason to worry about the
I
Stars.
understand.
Yeah. So I will say that I think he's going to play, but based on that little tidbit of information that I just learned.
But I mean, and here's the other
he
thing.
left Josh Gordon on his. He currently has Josh Gordon on the bench. I'm assuming that he's going to switch him in. Josh Gordon. I mean, if Antonio Brown actually gets legitimate looks, that might take away from him. But he still has Joe Mixon in there, and Joe Mixon
was terribly
he did
disappointing.
not have a good day.
But he also has a questionable next to him too.
He does.
Ankle.
Oh, apparently he's
day-to-day.
getting an MRI. Okay. Oh,
Sprain.
apparently the MRI said it isn't too severe. Okay, but again, I'm expecting that to be a transition out.
But here's my other worry too, right there, Leonard Fournette. With regard to the fact that, like we were talking about, Nick Foles done for the year. Leonard Fournette had 9.4 points. He's going to be facing stacked boxes from here on out.
He only got 13 carries.
Well, they were also playing a little bit of catch up against the Chiefs.
We did literally sit here and talk about how Nick Foles would help open things up for him,
And that's just
it's out the window now.
That's why I'm giving
honestly,
Window the slight nod.
I was kind of leaning towards you because I feel like Nick Chubb's going to do a little bit better. Aaron Jones still's a tough one. I'm not loving Tyler Lockett, but
He had 10, I think.
I think he had like 11 or 12 points.
I might actually.
I'm not saying like I don't think. Yeah,
there's a possibility
that.
I start
But,
Michael Gallup
okay,
over Tyler
but
Lockett.
here's the thing: Tyler Lockett had 1 catch for 44 yards and a touchdown.
I'm with you.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like 11 points is nothing to scoff at, but he caught the ball 1 time.
Look at Michael Gallup, because that's honestly who I'm strongly considering starting this week. And he had 7 catches.
7 catches, 158
yards.
Yeah, it's huge. Again, Washington's defense is going to be better than New York's. Not that much better, but I think a little bit better.
How many points did they give to the Eagles?
They also were up in that game, and then all of a sudden Deshaun Jackson caught like 4 passes and scored 3 touchdowns. And
I suspect that Michael Gallup, given the same options, would likely do that.
Michael Gallup is not Deshaun Jackson when it comes to deep threat over the top.
No,
speed.
but he's also not going to have a number 1 corner on him like Deshaun Jackson would, because that's going to be reserved for Amari Cooper.
So getting back to what I was talking about anyways, I think that Washington's defense is going to be a little bit better than New York's. But the bigger thing is, I don't think Dak Prescott's going to get you 4 touchdown passes again.
No, he's not.
That's just it. He's not going to go.
Patty Mahomes will for Window.
That's the thing. Dak Prescott, he had a career day. 400 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
I mean, yep. I'm pretty sure that he had never thrown for 400 yards.
I don't know.
I said I'm pretty sure. I'm not saying that's for certain, but I'm saying I'm pretty sure that he had never gone over 400 yards. I'm pretty sure that is a career high in yards for him. So, it's kind of tough to... I mean, if we want to check that really quick.
455 yards is his career high for most passing yards in a game.
When was that?
It was in week 14 against Philadelphia.
What, last year?
Yep, threw for 455 yards. You know what he did in week 17 against the Giants? 387. I mean, he had a well above average day. He had a one of his best in his career days. But he's pretty consistent for 250 at least. And he also didn't have any rushing yards or I think he had 12. But he had no rushing touchdowns, obviously, which is something that he is more than capable of producing. I do think there will be a slight regression with regard to, I mean, not even slight. I think there will be a significant regression with regard to Dak, and I don't think you'll see that with Mahomes. I'm giving the edge to Window. I really am. I think he's got, I wouldn't say he's got the better team, but I think he has the stronger studs, and I think that's going to carry the day, because I think, both of us have decently deep teams. We both have a solid, some strong options on our bench, but I just give him the edge this week.
Okay. No,
also, the Bears' D is going to be stout all year long, and the Chargers' defense against, who do they play? Detroit. You never know when Matt Stafford's going to have a day. So,
Okay, so that was the second time in his career that he went over 400 yards.
He had 387 in Week 17 against the Giants.
But again, I mean, obviously,
if
we're
gonna,
using like that.
If we're gonna like
marking,
mark it by like 13 yards. I mean, come on.
I mean, I'm just saying it's not a common occurrence for him to put up that.
He had a great day. That's what I said.
Yeah, no, I agree that he had a great day. I'm just checking now to see if there was any other time that he's ever thrown 4 touchdown passes.
Remember we were talking about dead air?
Yeah. Well, you're talking. I'm talking.
Should I keep talking?
Okay. Okay. Total for Dak Prescott, he matched his career high, slightly less obviously yardage-wise, and he matched his career high. He had one other time that he's thrown 4 touchdowns. So he had 2 major things go very, very fortunate for him against a very, very bad team in the Giants defense.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott, I feel like, is going. Originally, when I was looking at this, I was leaning towards your team, but knowing the situation with Aaron Jones, knowing Julio Jones is questionable, I'm not the biggest fan of Tyler Lockett, Leonard Fournette without Nick Foles. Dak Prescott, is going to regress. I think Nick Chubb's going to do better than he did last week. Only 10 points. I have to imagine that they do something better. Like
right.
I don't expect them to lose by 30 points to the Jets like they just did to the Titans.
Well, that's gonna be a ground and pound game too. Generally speaking, I mean the Jets are gonna run the ball.
They're gonna work Le'Veon.
What's great about this is it's a matchup where Le'Veon Bell is literally playing against Nick Chubb. So Window and I can watch the Cleveland and New York game and watch our number 1 running backs go head to head, which is pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, that's the week 2 podcast. So I did say eventually we're going to start getting people on here, so be ready.
Yeah, I mean we got 8 other owners and we got 13 regular season weeks. We got plenty of time.
That's what I figure. I want to get them in during the regular season,
Yeah.
so we'll probably start doing that pretty shortly. And what I was thinking also is with our schedules, depending on how busy we get, it might be good to just have us and the one other person on like a Skype call or something like that. But we'll figure that out.
I mean, I feel like enough people also live close enough by that if we really wanted to make it happen, we could work it out to have them.
Yeah.
Zach, Jason, Brad, McMillan, Alex all live within 45 minutes.
Yeah, we can all make it happen. But congratulations to the 5 folks who won in week 1. Zach, Window, James, myself, and Alex. Sorry for Jason Smith, Jer Bear, Brad, Daryl, and Nick, and Jason McMillan for your losses. Interestingly, one last thing, really quick before we wrap up. Sorry, I wanted to see this. We didn't really talk about this much. You are right about one thing with regard to the wild card. Right now, Zach has a 100-point lead on, essentially a 100-point lead on, Alex, Jason, McMillan, Daryl, Nick, myself. That is huge early.
Yeah, above 80 points, even on Brad. I mean, I had a good week and he has 70 points on me.
Yeah.
That's... I also feel like Zach just, gets fucking lucky with this bullshit, too. This just happens. He, makes some, random pick and then, it explodes and it's fucking horseshit. But, I don't know. Sammy Watkins is not going to have another 40-burger. Like I said, I would bet you I'd slap bet it right now that he gets more than 20 points. He doesn't get more than 20 points
Zach,
3 more times.
Take the slap bet. You can do
I'm
it.
just saying.
I'm not going to do it, but you can do it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next week.
Suck it.